I remember.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, 252. Not bad. I mean, I am gonna load in like the bike and everything. There we go.
Yeah.
Ah, beautiful. Okay. Well, let me.
I mean, we are recording, right?
Yeah. No,
It's
it's
just
it's
not
going.
showing us.
I had a
Hey
flip.
guys, it's Smash Tonian and the real Cryptid King.
Here.
Hey. um. So
You don't have to sound so upset.
I mean, I'm not really. Like, I think that to do what we're gonna do, this is the right way to do it.
Yeah, I agree.
Um. But it is your announcement, so I'm gonna let you take it away, and then we'll go through our normal thoughts and
Okay.
whatever.
So, the announcement, as it stands, is that I'm not just gonna give up on this game because that's not what's happening. I'm gonna take a break. But I don't know how long the break is gonna be. Um, and you and I were talking about this, and I think my biggest issue was the repetitiveness. And that's what I really need a break from. Not just, and I know this is kind of just announcement flowing right into our ups and downs about it, but it does have a good story. It does have a compelling story, I feel, but it's very repetitive.
It is, and I will agree with you there. And I think that you're going to find a lot of people who do playthroughs of this game feel the same way. And I tried, you guys. I did try as kind of co-creator slash editor slash
You're my
whatever
manager. We've already decided.
I am of the channel. Um, to kind of try to push him further through it because the story is very good and he was very excited to start out with, but he just isn't super into it, and I really don't blame him. I did get all the way through the game, but it is very repetitive. Not just the side missions like the bounty hunts and stuff, but even the main story stuff is literally just those side quests, but with like main characters and cutscenes kind of put in. Um, so it does get very, very repetitive. And I've got a couple other pretty big complaints about the game. Um, and I did finish it. I did really like the story, but um, I mean, it is super repetitive, and the hints, the tutorials,
The hurtful hints.
I call them hurtful hints because they are an immediate immersion break. Like, you can be fighting a horde or whatever, and all of a sudden you get this tip about how to throw grenades when you've been chucking grenades this whole time. Um, those just weren't very well thought out.
They weren't timed right,
The
or
placement and everything, all that should have been done pretty early on.
well, and I don't know if you've seen anything on the new Doom, any playthroughs, or anything like that. But when they introduce something new like that, they take you completely out of combat, and it's a completely separate area. You pick up whatever it is that you're going to be using, whether it's grenades or a chainsaw or flamethrower, what new gun, whatever. They pull you completely out of that and give you like a quick 30-second tutorial on it. As well as they have the message screen that pops up and says, hey, this is how you do it. Here's a demonstration of it. Now you do it a couple of times, and then we'll put you back where you were.
And that's how most games do it. Like, I know you haven't played any of the Metro games, but like, even the old Metro games, like Metro 2033, back when that came out, when they were giving you the guns, they were like, hey, Artyom, go to the armory and like get your weapons, and you get your weapons, and then you go through these like little games where you learn how to shoot and how to customize your guns and stuff. It's literally like 15 seconds that flows seamlessly throughout the game, and the hurtful hints don't do that. They're really irritating.
before we go any further, on the astronomical, whew, why was that so hard to say?
Don't know.
On the astronomical off chance that Ben Studios or Sony happens to watch any of my videos, this is not me shitting on the game. This is just me saying, personally, this is something that I didn't enjoy, and I felt like it could have been better from my personal experience. Because I know that there are some people out there that'll go and buy a game, play a game, hate it, and like shit on it, try and get a refund for it, and all this other nonsense. And that's not what I'm doing.
Right, but ours also doesn't, I mean, it doesn't come off like that's what we're doing, but at the same time, Sony's a big company. I think they can handle it. Like, come on, you guys. But, I mean, they make a ton of games, right? This one just missed the mark on certain things.
It wasn't far.
Like, it was so close. It's literally like the repetitiveness of missions. You literally could have just mixed that up a couple different ways, whatever, put them closer together, not had them so spread out.
Yeah.
The mechanic on how you get missions is a little clunky. Like, if I'm in Lost Lake or whatever, there's no reason that Ricky shouldn't be able to walk her fine ass up to me and be like, "Yo, Deke, we got something going on."
Or the fact that you would have to leave.
Yeah.
For some of them to trigger. I think what would have helped as far as that goes, if instead of just Ricky or I don't even remember half their names now.
Tucker. It
Tucker.
was Ricky, Tucker, Copeland?
Copeland. If any of them who have radio access to you could have just radioed you the mission.
Right. Well,
you know what I mean? Like there's so many other games that do this there where you could just, oh hey, this is Copeland's camp. Hey Deke, I need you to go and do this, and then it gives you the menu option. Like, hey, this is the mission. Here's the details. Do you want to do this right now? Do you want to do this later? Or do you want to reject the mission?
Yeah. That would have been cool. Like, you should have been able to turn down jobs instead of just not doing them.
Yeah.
And I don't want to spoil anything for you because we don't know if you are going to come back to it.
I would, at this point, 70%. I would like to come back to it at a future date.
Okay, so then I won't spoil anything.
Yeah, please don't.
But like the way that some of the things were handled, like, and for anybody who's played this game, you're gonna know what I'm talking about. But the way that they handled Sarah and the flashbacks to her and Deacon's like development, and the flashbacks that they had at the very front of the game, and everything that you go through with Boozer, like, I'm not just super attached to Boozer because he's got the donk. I'm also really attached to Boozer because I love Boozer. Boozer's like, he's like your big brother. He's your go-to guy. And when something happens to him in the game, you know, you've got that whole mission, and that's rough. Like, that plays with you emotionally. That is very well done.
Yeah.
The music is great.
Yes.
Soldier's Eyes, phenomenal. Love it.
Well, I mean, anybody who's watched that episode that we played through that together,
Here's
I
us.
was like, oh my god, I've never heard this song before in my life. This is a great song. Oh my god.
Right, and the way that they do it when you're on that long bike ride with Boozer, that is just so beautifully done. And I wish
there had been more moments like that.
Yeah, and like, the game is great, like the suspense with O'Brien and all of that is so well done, and there are moments later in the game where everything is really well done. You can just feel this tension, like, building up, and you know that something's gonna happen, and it's just great. But to get to those great pieces, you've got to do a little bit of drudgery.
Yeah.
And I think that's what deters a lot of people from playing or completing this game, which is really sad because it's a great game. There's just a lot of work you got to put into it to get there.
Yeah.
You know?
I agree with that.
And another thing that bothers me is that there are some missions that I feel like you just didn't get to complete. Like when you start talking to Mike about like blowing up the freaker caves and trapping them in there, or stuff like that. I feel like there was more that could have been done there that just wasn't done.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know that you ever actually get to blow up the caves.
Oh, really?
And, like, block the entrance. So that's a little bit
unfortunate.
frustrating, too. But, I mean, the cutscene that they put in at the end of the game totally changes it. And I know I told you this, Jake, which is part of why I was trying to get you to push through it, because it's so good.
Now, I will say, again, kind of like how we just finished off the last game, Brothers. There are things that I didn't like, but there were things that I did like as well.
Mm-hmm.
Like, for me, a good piece of media, because that's as wide-ranging as I can describe something.
Right.
Like books, movies, TV, video games. In my opinion, what makes those things good is if it elicits an emotional response from you. It doesn't necessarily have to always be tears, but if something makes you angry, or I don't want to necessarily say irritates, because bad games can do that too, but to less...
You need to have a visceral reaction to what's happening in the characters. Like
Schizo.
I fucking hate
I hate
Schizo.
Schizo.
He's such a dick.
But that's an emotional response.
He really is, though.
You know
He's
what I
a
mean?
huge
Like,
dick.
That's what I mean. Like, and that's exactly who I was thinking of,
I
too.
know! He's a bastard.
Don't be a Schizo, guys.
Seriously, please don't be a Schizo.
Especially during a pandemic. Don't be fucking Schizo.
If you're anything in life, don't be a Schizo.
Of all the things you could be, don't be a fucking Schizo.
Right? Be a boozer. Don't be a Schizo.
Be a boozer.
Hey, you know what? They sell those ass pads that give you a little bit more thick juiciness.
They do! Do he got the booty? He do.
He do!
He sure did, though. Boozer is thick with 3 C's.
God damn it. Oh, shit.
What's really funny was they said that in that video before Mark and Ethan even did the other video.
That was
where
great.
They said it.
That was great. I enjoyed that.
Oh, I should reach out to them and be like, hey,
Copyright.
listen. They'd probably be like, really? Get out of here.
Shut up.
Or they wouldn't even respond at all. They'd be like, I don't know
Probably
who this is. Bye.
Probably not.
We're too important for this. Time to go through labor pains.
In case anyone is wondering, Unis Honest on YouTube, that's what we're referencing.
It's true. And like, I don't know, I like the way that you can like customize your bike and the damage and the fuel aspect and all of that. And
Yeah.
as you get through like the freakers, I like the details that you can pick up. Like, later on in the game, more things come up that you learn through the sneaking missions with O'Brien and stuff like that. But even those, again, it just loops back to being repetitive. It's basically the same mission.
Yeah.
You just hear different stuff.
You hear different stuff and it's in a different area. Like,
Yeah, chase different people.
yeah.
The helicopter chases are cool. Those are very exhilarating. I do like those.
Yeah. Again, music, I really enjoyed. Art style and voice acting was top tier quality.
Yeah.
In my mind.
They did amazing with that.
I'm really trying to think here. I don't know, kind of something that we were talking about. Again, throwing back to the other game we just finished. This is a much longer game
It is.
than Brothers. They do give you that time and backstory with the flashbacks
Mm-hmm.
and side missions that you get more of the lore and things that you have the opportunity to get that emotional attachment to these characters.
Yes.
Deke, I don't really have an emotional connection to.
He is a very flat character, but I think with Deacon being so two-dimensional, it lets you connect more with the other characters. Because at that point, like, Deacon doesn't really have much going on with him.
Yeah.
So you can kind of immerse yourself more into, like, you interacting with these characters, rather than if you're playing somebody who's, like, super well fleshed out. You know, in a case like that, then you're like, well, you know, what do I do here? You know, somebody like Nathan Drake, like, you're very obviously playing Nathan Drake.
Yes.
You know, Joel or Ellie from The Last of Us. You are very obviously Joel and Ellie. There isn't much room to kind of wiggle around there. Whereas with Deacon, I mean, sure, you're playing around as Deacon, but, like, your attachment to Sarah, your attachment to Boozer, your attachment even to, like, Ricky, your hatred of Schizo, all of that is very you. It's very, like, personal.
Yeah.
And I think him being so flat lets you do that. So I don't have any complaints about the way that Deacon is constructed.
Any further thoughts? Anything else you'd like to add? Complaints or
I don't know.
not complaints?
Well, not yeah. I don't know. This game is really kind of up in the air for me. I would recommend it to somebody who doesn't mind a little bit of drudgery and can push through that for the great story elements.
I would also recommend it, in my mind, to someone who hasn't played a whole lot of zombie games.
Yes.
Because I think that's another issue. In general, not just specifically with this game, but in general, there are a lot of zombie games. A lot of zombie games.
If you haven't played The Last of Us yet, and you want to play Days Gone first. Because if you play The Last of Us first,
this is not going to live up to your expectations.
It's not going to live up to what you're expecting from such a big title.
Yeah.
I mean, you're going to expect a AAA game that pulls like a Naughty Dog game, and this one just falls just short. It's so close, but it misses it just a little. I would say, truthfully, my ranking for this game, I would probably give it like a 7 out of 10, 6.57 out of 10, and most of that score is truthfully
6.57. That's really specific.
Yeah. 6.57 specifically. Not 6.5 or 7, just 6.57.
Like 6.57.
Yep. You asshole. It's 6.57. And a majority of that is because of the story parts. And how the flashbacks...
positives for being that high.
For being that high, because there is a lot of it that you can get bogged down in very easily. You know, ammo shortage, the upgrade system with the Nero injectors. There's a lot of work to get your upgrades. You don't get to do a lot of that through the camps. I mean, weapons upgrades and stuff, but not like personal upgrades.
Well, even that can drag on.
Yeah. And I want to know what they're doing with the freaker ears. That worries me so much. Like, what is happening there? But yeah, I would say 6.57 for me.
Okay. All right. I think if I'm being generous, I'd say 6.6.
You're such an ass.
No, I think I'm actually right about the same area that you are on that one. I think I agree. I think I agree. 6.5 up to possibly 7.
Yeah.
Out of 10 points. Um, and the only redeeming quality, the real redeeming quality for me, is the cutscenes and the flashbacks and
Boozer's ass.
Boozer's ass.
I do think
One character's ass carries the whole game.
that's why his cheeks are so big. That's all those squats, so that he
The
can carry
clap
the
of my
game.
ass keeps alerting the rippers.
Oh God, I did say that for anybody who's going through the stream and watching the videos on YouTube or whatever. I did say that in one of the episodes. That he was so dummy thick. The clap of his ass cheeks was alerting the rippers. I say a lot of stupid shit on the stream, so just,
Roll
if
with
you're
it.
new to the channel, hey.
Here.
I do think that if there's a sequel, and they did leave it pretty open for a sequel with the cutscene at the end. I think that there's a lot of polishing that they can do, even if they keep the same game mechanics and everything. I think there's just a lot of little polishes that they can do to really clean it up and really turn this into the AAA title that it could have been.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, obviously, whenever I come back to this and actually finish it, I'm sure... Well, I won't say I'm sure. My opinion might change. I could go higher. I honestly don't know. Because as someone who's at least watched the entire playthrough of this game before, you know what's coming, what happens, everything else, and that's your rating. And someone who hasn't played it all the way through yet, and that's my rating. It's hard to say whether or not mine would change, because we agree with quite a few things.
Right. I will say I do tend to rate games higher than you, just in general. I am slightly less particular. But the first time, that very first playthrough that I watched all the way through, I would have probably ranked it higher.
Mm-hmm.
But being here through this one, knowing what's coming, there's a lot less of that, or stuff that I'm experiencing, that I'm able to more realistically kind of look at the game and be like, you know what? There are a lot of little cleanup things that they could have done that could have really, if they had just taken a couple extra months for release. God, Last of Us 2 pushed back 6 times now? If they had even just pushed this game back once and cleaned it up a little bit more, I think it could have really done a lot of good.
Yeah. Any further points to add?
I think that's it. 6.57.
You're welcome.
Numbers.
Thank you.
Oh God. Okay. But that's we just wanted to give you guys a little heads up
An
that
update.
he was going to be taking a break, because if you guys have been following this was Jake's first game that he started playing on the stream, outside of things like Fortnite and Don't Starve Together, which we do a lot.
Yeah. It's the first series that I started.
Right, and we didn't want to leave you guys in the lurch, so after pushing so hard and just not being able to get anywhere, both for him and for I, because he did try a couple different times to put more time into it. He didn't just give up on it right away. He put in probably an additional, 4 hours? 6 hours? After you said you were...
Something like that.
After you said you were getting...
I would say this will be part 15 or some shit.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he put in a good, 2 or 3 videos after, he was pretty fed up with it from my urging. So we did give it a try, and if he never comes back to it, at least you guys can watch this video and you'll know why, so that you're not left just completely alone. And if you still watch those videos and think you want to pick it up, I think that you should. Just be prepared for a little bit of tedium.
Yeah, that's for sure. But other than that, I think that's going to do it for this one.
Yep.
We'll figure out. We might be streaming something else here in a few minutes. I don't know for sure yet. We'll figure it out. The night is young, and you're so beautiful, lady.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right. So for the real Cryptid King, I should probably start saying his name first because it is his channel. So for the real Cryptid King and Smashtonian, that's gonna do it for this one. Good night, gamers.
Thanks, anybody, for tuning in. Bye.